The Sonic franchise hasn't really gotten the love it deserves in Smash Bros. Yeah, it's a third-party franchise in a Nintendo game, but then again, all of these characters have actually decent movesets, so that's not really the best excuse. So it made me wonder, what if more Sonic characters were in Smash? I already remade Sonic's moveset, now I have Shadows, and I do consider doing Knuckles in the near future. But without further ado, let's get started. First, let's get some extra things out the way. For costumes, there are a bunch of outfits to choose from, so I do have a few ideas. Alt 1 is the original, Alt 2 can be Movie Shadow, Alt 3 can be Sir Lancelot from Black Knight, Alt 4 can be Vampire Shadow, Alt 5 can be Ninja Shadow, Alt 6 can be Luminosity Shadow, Alt 7 can be his jersey outfit for Mario and Sonic Tokyo Olympics, and Alt 8 can be Terrio's, based off his original design for SA2. For taunts, it was actually kinda easy. His side taunt can have him pull out a green Chaos Emerald and hold it out in the air, his down taunt can be him cracking his knuckles, and his up taunt can have him float in the air while his arms crossed and looking around. His victory animations were actually fun to do considering I took inspiration from the movie. One of them can show him walking to his motorcycle and holding out a gun like this scene here. Another can be his clear animation from Shadow Generations, and the last one can be slamming down to earth and hitting this pose from the movie. Now it's time to move on to the fun stuff. Shadow's jab can be the 3-hit combo from Sonic Battle. You start with Shadow Chop, go into Shadow Kick, and then end with Shadow Back Kick. While his down and up tilt are pretty much the same as Sonic's moves, his forward tilt is actually unique. For his F tilt, he uses Chaos Magic. When used, Shadow creates a floating orb of Chaos Energy to knock back opponents. It's not really big and doesn't do that much damage, but it's a great get off me tool with how much knockback it has. His smash attacks, however, aren't stolen from Sonic. His forward smash can be one of the Doom powers, being the Doom Blast. This will have moderate damage and really good knockback. The stats are pretty much like Pyro's F smash, but just like her F smash, it will have some end light to balance its strength out. His down smash can be Morph Splash, based off the Doom Morph. While he's charging, he starts rising in the air, and the longer he rises, the stronger his attack is. When he slams onto the ground, he creates a large horizontal radius of Corruption Infusion. The only bad part about this move is that it isn't really the strongest tool vertical wise, so it's not really the best tool when it comes to tackling someone above you. His up smash can be Chaos Nightmare from Sonic Battle. As Shadow bursts in the air with his initial hitbox, he also has 2 Chaos Energy engulfed fists that deal good knockback on both sides. It gives Shadow a good vertical, but to balance it out, it has little to no horizontal range, as it's a straight burst up, so don't expect to hit anyone on the side that well. His dash attack can be another move from Sonic Battle, that being his Shadow Slider. It'll be a move that shows Shadow stopping and his foot, aka the hitbox, sticking out behind him. I did think of using his Flame Roller skating move that he used at the end of Sonic 06, but Kirby and a bunch of other characters already have a fire-based dash attack, so I went with this to make it more unique. Now we move on to his aerials. To get it out the way, his up air is a similar version of Captain Falcon's, his forward air is the same as Sonic's remade forward air being the Eagle Kick from Sonic Battle, and his back air is the same as Sonic's. His other moves, however, do have a little bit of originality. His neutral air is the Black Tornado from Sonic Heroes. He'll spin around in a circle at high speeds similar to Mach Tornado, and for effects, it'll create a mini black and red tornado while he's circling the Y-axis. Because it's a tornado. His down air can be the downward dive kicks. It'll have Shadow dive down like Sonic's old down air, and will have him kick fast 3 times before you can cancel out of it. It kind of looks like Snake's down air, but instead of you choosing to drag down, it's an automatic straight shot. Now we're on the grabs. His pummeling animation can be a grounded hand choke kinda like in the movie, and then he'll go from there. His forward throw can be from the movie fight scene where Sonic and Shadow are fighting and he grabs Sonic by the leg to swing him. Yeah, it's similar to Mario's forward throw, but it will still work for an aggressive character like Shadow. His back throw can be Sneak Attack. As he holds his opponent, he teleports behind them and kicks them. It's a nice way to utilize his teleportation ability without actually using it. I was considering using it as a recovery tool, but those are some of the most boring options you can use as a recovery. His down throw can be the Rising Slam based on the movie. Like his pummeling animation, this is where the inspiration comes from, and I think it will work perfectly. Shadow rises in the air with his opponent, but to speed up the process, instead of letting them freely in the air mid-move, he remains contact with them as he slams down. His up throw can be a modified version of Chaos Blast from Sonic Battle. Once activated, Shadow holds the opponent over his head and quickly creates a blast of Chaos Energy. Not really much to say about it, just another move that uses chaos energy and has really good knockback. Alright, here's my favorite part of the movesets. Shadow has a lot of good and strong attacks, so choosing them was hard to do. I did, however, manage to narrow it down into stuff that wouldn't be entirely broken and actually fits in a platform fighting game. His neutral special is Headshot, and if you couldn't tell, he uses his gun. Now, even though we are using his gun, I was thinking he used his plasma gun for the movie because it just looked cooler and more vibrant for Smash. But anyways, when the B button is pressed, Shadow will be able to automatically fire 10 shots to deal a small amount of damage and knockback. To help tell when the gun's low on energy, Shadow will start with a small empty gauge with 5 blocks. Each block represents every 2 shots and only fills back up by dealing damage, so something similar to Cloud's limit meter. His side special is Doom Spears, specifically the ones from Shadow Generations. The way it works is pretty similar to the ones in, like I said, Shadow Generations. The longer you hold the buttons, the max amount of time being 3 seconds, the more spears are thrown around and the stronger they are. The limit for this move is what I said about needing the charge to be stronger, so in competitive, the best you'd be able to get is 2, maybe 3, but that's still a little risky. Good move though. His up special is Doom Wings, also from Shadow Generations. Like I said earlier, I was considering teleportation as Shadow's recovery, but specifically teleportation recoveries are so boring. It'll have a little less range than Pit, but for the trade, it'll have a one-hit hitbox. The biggest restraint is you can't shoot downwards like any of the Star Fox characters, so it's only on a 180-degree plane. Another relatively small restraint is that the move gets weaker the longer it takes to hit someone, so just keep that in mind. His down special might be controversial considering it uses a tool that didn't really end too well, but I managed to make it work. Hopefully. Shadow's down special is Chaos Control. If you didn't catch on to what I said, let me break it down for you. Pretty much back in Smash 4, Bayonetta was notorious for her combos and Witch Time being some of the most broken parts of the game. And Witch Time was a move that slowed down the opponents for a short amount of time, which allowed her to get some good combos off of it. So when I thought of Chaos Control for Shadow, I remembered the whole situation with Bayonetta. However, I found a loophole. To get it out the way, Shadow will use Chaos Control and after you use it, he'll get it back in like 30 seconds. But instead of you slowing the opponent down, you actually get a speed increase for 10 seconds. The way I incorporated this was just changing the perspective of it. When Shadow uses Chaos Control, we normally see it as him moving at normal speed, yet everyone and everything else around him is affected by it. But what I did to make it somewhat more tolerable is make it so that the enemy moves at normal speed, but Shadow is moving at high speeds. The restraint with this move is similar to Shulk, in that all of his moves are weaker by 10%. So while it is a good tool to catch up with other potentially faster characters, it loses a little bit of its strength in return. Shadow's Final Smash was really fun to think of because I looked into Sonic X and Movie 3 to do this, so this should be interesting. Shadow will turn into Super Shadow and dash towards his opponent like Sonic, but instead, if contact is made, he uppercuts the opponent into space. After floating off, Shadow flies towards them and does the same attacks he used on Knuckles in this one clip. Then he kicks them down back to Earth just like how he kicked Super Sonic down while they were fighting. Then to finish it off, he dashes down near the opponent to perform Chaos Blast, thus bringing them back to the stage. And yeah, that's my custom moveset for Shadow. I really wish Shadow gets a chance to be a fighter in the next Smash Bros game because, as demonstrated, he has a lot of potential to be a really good character. I know some of you probably thought he had the same moves to other characters, and I definitely did too. Truth is, I went to a lot of different games and determined which moves would work or make the most sense for Shadow, and when I realized he had similar moves, I thought it was okay. He pretty much had these moves way before Smash characters did, so I'll still allow it just so he doesn't feel like a clone of Sonic or generic character. But anyways, I'm gonna end it right here. Do you like this moveset? And with that, ZayZaz out.